The narcissist's eventual collapse arrives not through external forces or unfortunate circumstances, but through the inevitable consequences of their own relentless patterns of destruction. They architect their downfall with remarkable consistency, repeating the same self-sabotaging behaviors while expecting different results, and blaming others when the predictable consequences arrive. Their inability to learn from mistakes, modify destructive patterns, or accept accountability creates a trajectory that leads inexorably toward isolation, diminished opportunities, and the crumbling of the carefully constructed facade they've maintained for years. The tragedy lies not in their downfall itself, but in their complete inability to recognize their own hand in creating it, the systematic destruction of every genuine connection. The narcissist ensures their own downfall by treating every meaningful relationship as a resource to exploit rather than a connection to nurture. They systematically destroy friendships, romantic partnerships, and family bonds through their relentless need for control, validation, and superiority. Each person who enters their life with genuine affection eventually leaves depleted, disillusioned, and determined never to return, creating an ever-widening circle of people who know their true nature and will not be fooled again. This pattern of relational destruction accumulates over time like compounding debt. The narcissist burns through supporters, allies, and potential advocates with such consistency that they eventually find themselves surrounded only by enablers, fellow narcissists, or people too damaged to establish healthy boundaries. They create their own isolation through their inability to maintain any relationship that requires genuine reciprocity, empathy, or accountability. The narcissist's downfall accelerates as their reputation spreads through overlapping social circles. People warn each other, share their experiences, and collectively recognize the patterns that seemed confusing in isolation. The narcissist discovers that their carefully crafted public image cannot withstand the accumulated testimony of everyone they've harmed, leaving them increasingly unable to find fresh victims who haven't been warned about their true nature. The inevitable exposure of their false self. The narcissist causes their own downfall by maintaining a grandiose image that reality cannot support indefinitely. They make promises they cannot keep, claim abilities they do not possess, and construct elaborate lies that eventually contradict each other or collide with undeniable facts. Their compulsive need to appear superior prevents them from operating within realistic limitations, ensuring that their fabricated persona will eventually be exposed as performance rather than substance. This exposure rarely happens through a single dramatic revelation. Instead, it occurs through the gradual accumulation of small inconsistencies, broken promises, and observable gaps between their claims and their actual capabilities. People begin comparing notes, questioning narratives that never quite aligned, and recognizing patterns of deception that seemed isolated when experienced individually. The narcissist's elaborate house of cards collapses not from external attack but from its own structural impossibility. The narcissist accelerates their own exposure through their inability to maintain consistent lies across different audiences. They tell different versions of events to different people, make contradictory claims about their past, and present incompatible self-presentations depending on who they're trying to impress. When these audiences eventually communicate, the narcissist's carefully segmented deceptions collide, revealing the fundamental dishonesty underlying their entire presentation of self. The refusal to adapt or learn. The narcissist guarantees their downfall through their complete inability to learn from consequences or modify destructive behaviors. They repeat the same patterns in relationship after relationship, job after job, situation after situation, never recognizing that they are the consistent variable in their repeated failures. Their grandiose self-image prevents them from accepting that they might need to change, leaving them trapped in cycles of self-destruction while blaming external circumstances for outcomes they've created. This refusal to adapt becomes increasingly costly as they age, and their opportunities for fresh starts diminish. Younger narcissists can more easily move to new cities, find new social circles, and reinvent themselves for fresh audiences. Older narcissists discover that their options narrow considerably. Their energy for maintaining elaborate deceptions wanes, and their trail of destruction becomes impossible to outrun. The narcissist's inability to learn extends to their failure to recognize when tactics stop working. They continue employing manipulation strategies that once succeeded, but now produce only resistance and rejection from people who have developed immunity to their approaches. Rather than adapting their methods, or more importantly, changing their fundamental approach to relationships, they simply intensify failed tactics until they alienate everyone around them. The accumulation of consequences they cannot escape. The narcissist's downfall becomes inevitable as consequences accumulate beyond their ability to manage, deflect, or escape. Financial irresponsibility catches up with them. Professional bridge burning limits career options. Legal troubles multiply from unethical behavior, and health issues emerge from years of stress and poor self-care masked by grandiose denial. They've spent so much energy maintaining appearances and avoiding accountability that they've neglected the practical aspects of building a sustainable life. These accumulated consequences create a cascade effect where each problem compounds others, and the narcissist's diminishing resources make recovery increasingly difficult. They discover that the people who might have helped them through difficulties have been driven away by their past behavior, leaving them to face mounting challenges without the support systems that others can rely on during crisis. The narcissist causes their ultimate downfall by refusing to face reality until reality becomes impossible to ignore. By then, they've destroyed so many bridges, accumulated so many consequences, and alienated so many people that their options have narrowed to acceptance of diminished circumstances or continued denial in the face of overwhelming evidence. Their downfall arrives not as dramatic catastrophe, but as slow recognition that they have systematically destroyed everything valuable in their life through their own consistent choices and unchanging patterns.